So everybody seems to be up in arms that Everlane sold to Shein for $100 million. And while I will admit that that is kind of a left field acquisition, I think that the downward spiral of a brand like Everlane, people are shocked about it, and it's like not surprising at all. I think that we forget that a lot of times these brands are businesses and these decisions are not made in a vacuum. Let me explain. Everlane started with the best of intentions. It truly tried to bring transparency to the fashion supply chain at a more, I want to say, like mass market level. Now we take it for granted a little bit that brands will disclose their supply chains, especially on their websites. But back in the 2010s, when Everlane first started, this was really revolutionary. So even though sustainable fashion advocates have long derided Everlane as not being transparent enough, I give them a lot of credit for really being one of the first to get caught trying. I often say in the sustainability space, like I'd rather a brand get caught trying and fail or come up short than just like not try at all because they're scared. And by scared, I mean scared to be called out or scared to be wrong or scared that it's not enough. But obviously, Everlane scaled quickly. It was the age of unicorns. It was the age of Allbirds and Away and Warby Parker and all of these billion-dollar fashion brands, which, like, let's be honest, a billion-dollar direct-to-consumer startup, like, there really aren't very many of those. And in the 2010s, it seemed like every fashion startup was a unicorn billion-dollar brand. I mean, Rent the Runway, at that point, they were talking about being a billion-dollar brand, okay? So Everlane was in that mix. And by 2010, they had to sell to private equity. They had hundreds of employees. They had dozens and dozens of stores. You don't sell to private equity. I mean, as the founder, you do because you want to get your money out of it, of course, but also because you need capital to inject into the business to keep the business going. Like, you may be making money, but the cash flowing fashion brands that big is really fucking hard. I have a small brand and cash flowing it is hard. So I can't even imagine how difficult it is to cash flow big brands like this with a huge retail footprint. And so ultimately, as it always goes, a lot of these brands, they end up going to private equity because that's where they can get the money. And it's all done with the best of intentions. Sure, the brand owner might want to sell out and get their bag after years and years and years of grinding, of course. But also, like I said, they have employees, they have stores, they want to keep people employed and they want to keep the business running. And private equity is a lot of times the only solution. And unfortunately, as always, almost always happens with private equity, the incentive changes as soon as private equity enters the chat, and it's no more about the mission, it's about the bottom line. And so ultimately, usually takes about 5 to 7 years, which I'm not wearing a watch today, but we're right on time in 2026 if they sold to private equity in 2020. Private equity wants to get their money out within 5 to 7 years. They want to see a return on their investment. And so if they don't, they're going to sell to the highest bidder and they don't care about the mission. So all that to say that I don't think it was necessarily Everlane's choice to sell to Shein. It was private equity looking to get the most money they could out of a bad investment, most likely. And, what do they say? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. So RIP to Everlane. And I'm still celebrating the fact that back in the 2010s, at least they got caught trying and moved the needle a little bit on transparency in terms of mass market fashion brands. Anyway, that's my take. Ciao from Firenze.